You start, and then I'll double you, and then I'll. Show. This is Eugene Edwards over here. It's Dr. Dylan Calagiuri.
Hey, yo.
Right over there.
Hoey.
I always thought the easiest gig in the tribute band world would be to be Jim Morrison in a Doors tribute band, because you would just scream for a few minutes and then pass out into a fetal position while someone carries you off, and the keyboardist sings the rest of the show, and you'd call yourself the most authentic Doors tribute act.
Right. Like, so there's vomiting, like sort of in the mouth vomiting.
I could get arrested for, that's my idea. Hi, Jim. Hi, Dave. Hi, Drunkle Bob. I like
Hey,
Drunkle
everybody.
Bob. I just like the handle, man.
I know, me too.
And Mr. Folgemans, how's it going? Hey, David. So carrying
this is a great topic.
This is a good, which one?
This topic.
Because my brain has several.
The cover band songs of the 70s. It's so good, you guys. We're thinking about breeding this out into an entire series by genre.
Good point.
Decade by genre.
Helps us organize our thoughts.
Yeah, because there's just too many.
Yeah, because in the 60s, I mean, there's the
Monkees,
the British rock boom. There's all the American bands.
Yeah,
there's Motown alone as a whole.
As you could cover, just sit there and cover that.
Once we get to the 70s, though, rock,
funk,
soul, and R&B. We have a hard rock.
Yeah,
we've got the really soft stuff.
We have the beginning of metal, the very beginning.
Sure. I say it's definitely
Purple. I mean,
and then punk,
and we've got punk.
So there's a lot of genres we can do, but right. So we're just going to set the stage, if you will.
Yeah.
For a band. Now this is funny because is this like if we were a cover band in the 70s?
No.
We're a cover band now.
We're a cover band now, and we're covering the 70s. Because a cover band in the 70s would be covering the 40s. And here's this next Johnny Mercer number 2, 3, 4. Yeah,
I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
This is I'm hosting a night of music tonight at this club here in Hollywood, and there was about 12 songs that I was supposed to learn. Sorry. And I would look at one song and okay, that goes like that. Okay. And then I would just start playing something else that has nothing to do with the night. So
Dream On.
Wait. I worked out
and that's you don't want to miss on Dream On with the guitar part, because the dreaming stops. You know what I mean? And there's actually a lot on this song, you guys. If you ever want to cover Dream On, there's so much.
Also, just the fact that it's an F minor, and I had also worked out, although I've forgotten that
That's what I mean. There's just the guy that pumps your gas can sing that solo to you.
But do a lot of bands cover Dream On? I mean, you guys go to weddings.
They used to.
I'm not allowed out in general pop a whole lot. Okay, so I don't know what's going on in the clubs, at the weddings, at the
Look, here's a big one. Here's a big one from the 70s. Nobody can actually sing that, but usually you need a female singer to be able to sing that.
That's the best cheat of all.
Yeah,
because singers in rock bands in the 70s, in general rock bands, you think about it, the monitoring system. Did you point this out, or someone else pointed this? the monitoring systems still weren't that great.
No.
So your lead singer was probably somebody who could just physically do it.
I think we did talk about
the fact
this, yeah.
whether they had charisma and had great stage patter,
You
like
had to be able
Paul
to belt.
Stanley, that was a bonus.
Over
But
a Sun amp
that
with
you could
3,
just-
14, like 15.
So you
yeah.
tended to get singers, male singers.
Yep.
Robert Plant, Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Well, Bon Scott, but then Brian Johnson. Oh, what's the guy from Boston?
What's that guy's name? Paul something.
The lead singer. Well, this is Paul. Paul Rogers actually, he would go up there a bit. I always thought he had a really perfect range. By the way, Jim Kay has the greatest line here. When I retire, I want to start a cover band called The Consultants of Swing.
The Consultants of Swing. Wow.
That's my.
Will you do largely corporate affairs?
That's my kind of
and
stuff.
like,
but
you know, I could actually see a corporation going, let's get the Consultants of Swing.
David Milby's. What would you classify ARS as? I don't know what ARS is.
It's Associate Responsive Systems.
Okay.
Their stock is it keeps folding in half. I wouldn't buy. I wouldn't buy.
I wouldn't
buy. Yeah.
I wouldn't buy.
Yeah.
So Dream On. I have done Dream On. There's a band I'll play with here and there, and we have a guest that comes up and play. He can play the piano and sing it. So that's the only occasion where Aerosmith is short for Aerosmith. Oh, well, that's rock.
Well, that makes more sense.
They're rock.
Yeah.
They're rock.
I would say Aerosmith is considered hard rock at one point in time.
They
but
could
they're really
go there,
just rock.
but they're just meat and
really just
potatoes rock. Right?
Yeah.
They have great swing.
Paul Rogers.
Paul Rogers.
This is one of the songs on the list.
That's definitely a 70s cover band.
And then this whole turnaround right here is indicative of 70s rock. So you had like so guitars acting like guitars, playing within the range. I know. I'm saying stuff that's going to inflame.
Yeah.
It's going to inflame. But guitars acting like guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to call it the way I see it. And so they were playing in their ranges.
The big empire, ladies and gentlemen. Just call him like he's just strike some balls. Okay.
So they're playing within their ranges. When you hear the chorus of the song, 2, 3, 4. So he's going up to this.
I'm even dressed like a 70s lead singer.
You are totally dressed, but that means the bass is going.
Was it Boswell? What was that guy's name? The bass.
An octave lower than that. So now the bass can act like a bass, and the guitar can act like a guitar, and the mixes sit really well because everything's acting as it should. We entered periods later on in other decades.
Okay, now
guitars start acting like basses and guitars and synths. You know,
right? Guitars are now dropping down here.
They're dropping
so
way
now the bass has
down.
got to drop down there.
You got to buy a new stereo.
You're tuning your drums differently.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you now. And the bass player gets a little something on that one. He gets
The
a
bass
breakdown.
player
He
gets
gets
a lot of
solo.
love on that.
Apparently, that's his. I should know the history of this. As I understand, that whole thing starts with him, and that bass player is a teenager at the time. He's the youngest guy in the band, and he just has that A Mixolydian thing going.
But he had the shuffle like hop in his playing.
See, rock bands still had swing.
Yeah.
Aerosmith is a great example.
Atlanta Rhythm Section.
That's
what
that's what
ARS
ARS stands for. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes even more
sorry.
sense now.
Sorry,
actually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Spooky.
That's
Atlanta Rhythm Section.
No, that was
right?
Classics 4.
What's an Atlanta Rhythm Section?
Unless Atlantic Rhythm Section, unless they covered Spooky, but I don't think they did. Atlanta Rhythm Section, did they do Third Rate Romance? I think was them.
That's the big hit. No, there's more than that. I remember. Yeah. Anyways,
Frampton.
Frampton's got to be.
That was the great. That was the great line in the first Wayne's World movie when she bought the Frampton Comes Alive album at a garage sale, and she shows Wayne. He goes, "Oh, Frampton Comes Alive." She goes, "Oh, do you know it?" And he goes, "Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. By law, they hand it to you when you turn 12. Like,
not only that,
it's just not a chance."
This was an album. So when I was a little kid, I had big headphones that had a braided cord on it.
Oh,
and went to my record player.
Rad.
And
that's old school, dude.
I would lay on the bed, put the headphones on, and listen to the entire side of Frampton Comes Alive.
Which side? It's a double album.
Well, that's what I mean. The entire one of the entire sides.
I understand.
Flip it over. But I'm saying I wouldn't move.
Yeah.
Now, well, so how do you listen to music now? You're cleaning. You're brandish. You know, you're doing a lot of different things. It depends on where you live. But I'm saying that, you're listening to music in a lot of different ways. And this was a deal where you only needed one medium at the time. to captivate.
This is also why there were more bands at the time, because there was nothing else to do.
What are you going to do?
Well, so if there's 3 other people on your block that like music, well, you found a garage. Now you have a band. It's just different. That's all. I'm not saying, hey guys, writing down songs to present to my group. There you go. Oh,
okay.
Sean Brisbane.
This is great.
By the way, I want to go back to Consultants of Swing. That song, Sultans of Swing.
Consultants.
That's a great example of a great happenstance where Mark Knopfler went into a pub, and it was a Dixieland band of just guys, basically, and hardly anyone in there. And Knopfler kind of felt sorry for them that there was no one else there, but noticed that they were having a great time. They were perfectly happy with what they're doing, and the name of the band was Sultans of Swing.
Oh yeah.
So it's really funny that the name Sultans of Swing. It's really clever what he does. In fact, he wrote it on an acoustic guitar that was in an open tuning, and the sound it wasn't going anywhere. Like the band didn't know what to do with it. But then he bought that 62 Strat, that red one,
right,
and put really light strings on it.
Yeah.
And then concert tuning,
he's all fingers at the time, right?
Yeah,
he's still all fingers, right?
So what's really brilliant, it's an Andalusian cadence, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Sultans.
So
even though it's about
Middle
a
East.
Dixieland jazz band,
right?
He goes to this exotic,
right, which spells
Sultans, which is great. So it's just really, really, really great songwriting where he gets his own. He creates a whole new world of this thing by taking that real life band name,
right?
Describing it, just Guitar George. He's just making up the biographies of these dudes,
right?
And at the end, we are the Sultans of Swing. Like, we're proud to be here.
Right.
And it ends up being the first hit for his band and catapults them to huge success.
Yeah.
That's just a wonderful story. This is just some dudes in a pub playing Dixieland.
And it's still a really
that.
pretty big hit. I think you can hear that
very recognizable
just about anywhere.
And he said I think he has 8s on that Strat because he's doing.
God, he was one of many offenders with the 8s.
Because when he does this, when he goes there, he said when he was able to give vibrato on 3 strings on 1 fret with the really light strings, that was the key. That sort of like opened up. And he says that about if you're songwriting, if you're struggling with songwriting, grab a guitar that's tuned differently, grab something with different keys. Just upset your normal.
You don't have to take
here.
mushrooms right away. At least
No.
you can.
No. No.
You can wait. On that.
Wait. We've got a lot of somebody still wait.
I think Frampton. Yeah.
Scott sold a Marshall amp.
Wait, what do we got here?
To Frampton back in the early 90s. Is that right?
Really, Scott? Wow. Well, you know what? So many of us here have some experience with Frampton's son.
Yes, Eileen, you're right. With Frampton's son?
Yeah, playing with him because he was in town for quite a while, and so me and a couple other buddies have had some experience with that. And I would love to meet Frampton. I don't think he actually lives here now.
He does not.
Yeah.
Sweet man.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my Frampton story? This story is about how lovely the guy is. You understand? So I had to fly.
How tall is he?
Trick question. He's not tall at all.
Wow.
So I had to fly to Buffalo for a gig, and my flight there, the connecting flight in Chicago, got abandoned. So I slept in a very, very ratty hotel for a few hours, got back to O'Hare, got to get first in line for standby, finally get to, but I'm like on no sleep. So I get to the hotel and I'm just wasted. I'm just going to sleep as many hours as I can before I have to get to the venue and sound check.
This thing's a wash. You're just trying to get through it.
I'm just trying to get through. Yeah. I mean, I am dead on my feet.
A lot of it's like that, by the way, folks.
I go in the hotel. I'm sorry. And the elevator opens and I've got a guitar case and just a small bag, like a weekend bag. And Frampton's just
there. He is
there.
Wait, at the hotel?
No, he's in the elevator.
In the elevator.
And I kind of just do this kind of look. By the way, this was years ago. This is before I had the Dwight gig. This is a totally other gig. So,
not first class.
And then I took a step in the elevator, and he looked at me. He goes, "You okay?" No. This is how he worded it. He says, "Are we okay?" And I looked at him. I said,
the proverbial.
I said, "That depends.
Are we Frampton?
Am I looking at Peter Frampton?" He says, "Yes, we are." I said, "I guess I'm okay then." And then we went up to our floors. Now,
so there was nothing else said.
then later on in the hotel say, I see him again. And by now, I told one of the guys, I was doing a gig with one of the guys from Sha Na Na. And I mentioned, I said, I bumped into Frampton at the hotel. He goes, tell him Jocko. And they stayed at the Riot House back in the day. They have tails. So I saw Frampton again at the hotel and said, hey, Jocko from Sha Na Na. So he goes, oh my God, where's he living? It was very sweet. Now, this is the next day. It's time. I'm leaving. I'm waiting for my car to take me to the hotel. I'm standing outside, and he's waiting for his car. And so we're chatting a bit. He's great. Now, the guy who was hired to drive me to the airport, I don't know. It's just a guy, okay? Kevin. Pulls up, and it goes out, says, and is about to say, is one of you Eugene? But then he clearly recognizes. So, but he does this kind of like, I'm guessing you're Eugene.
Yeah,
I said, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And he says, Peter Frampton, right? And it was, yes. And now, people are strange, baby. People are funky.
They really are.
They say stuff, and the guy, and he's putting my stuff in the trunk, and he's looking, and he's small talking with Frampton, and he says, I had that live album of yours, and he goes, yeah,
thank you.
It was a big
wonderful.
one.
Yeah.
And then the driver says this, and that cover, you had a lot more hair back then. He just says it. And now I think if he said it to me, I'd have in my legal right to punch the guy in the throat.
Well, technically, it's also true. I just want to mention that it's true because he's bald now.
Out of all things, and so Peter, again, this is a great guy. Just says, oh yeah, well I believe we probably all did, And just the way he massaged that thing, I'll tell you what, I'm not that kind in public when people treat these people.
Well, can we just mention that
sweet man.
British people, I don't know, there may be British people on here.
Hi, Brits.
For in large part,
Happy St. George Day. I don't know if it really...
British people, there's an expected level of kindness that is inherent in all communications with people from the UK.
You think it's because they live in a small space and they've got to get along? Like manners mean more.
I just think it's the decorum is compulsory, or you don't get anywhere.
Yeah, I think
society.
John Cleese from Monty Python said the goal of every British man's life is to get from birth to death without once being embarrassed.
And so, and if you run around offending people, you could probably be.
Back to tunes.
No, sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's okay. Okay, so go ahead. Oh, I'm doing this one tonight. That's the wrong rhythm.
Wait, what?
So what's cool about American Girl? One of the many things that's cool about American Girl is that so Petty tries to write a Bo Diddley shuffle. He's actually writing as. I
read that about this too.
That's how he's presenting it to the band.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they changed that group, it's slightly like, it's not a punk song at all, but that it's just a cool. It's just got a nice aggressive energy.
It's a great song to start a set with, by the way. If you have a crowd that's been waiting for a while,
come down to Harvard and Stone tonight, baby.
But you see what I'm saying?
It's because you just do that nowadays.
Yeah,
I don't think it had the same power if you were doing this as a cover in 1986.
Right.
When you do it now, especially with Tom Gone, I think it's just this different clarion because I think Mark Maron, the comedian, has this whole bit about Tom Petty was one of the last things that we all agreed on.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
We all bought into Petty. We're all cool with Petty. So when you do this, now talk about, that's over time, that's going to be up there with, or like these.
I could see that.
Right away recognizable intros. Credit to my man, Mike Campbell. Here's a cool thing. I don't know this for a fact, but it seems to me like, and what Mike is mostly doing during the verses of that is just that trial, or I don't know where he's just taking one voice and moving it up. And I'm thinking, it feels like it rides a.
Oh yeah.
8 Days a Week by the Beatles kind of says D major to the 2 major of E, then the 4, but Tom goes to the 5, and that's the one.
That's right.
Trick. Here's another thing. Look, if you're learning the solo to American Girl, that outro solo, which good for you if you do. Make sure you. So it starts with if we're just learning it by a shape, we're in our G position, G shape D chord, right? Coming out of there, but we're really just working this triad along the 7th fret. So, or what was it? Oh, sorry. So yeah, I have to do it at speed because so it's just you're hammering on and pulling off these diatonic notes. Then it goes up to E major, so just move to the 9th fret. Now you're going to go up to a G major, but you have to change. Make sure you change. You have to change. So instead of it, so you've got to make sure you get that. You hear a lot of players they'll play C natural there,
right.
But the song's in D major,
right?
And so it's
the 7th.
Then back to the original figure over the A. That's the little thing that'll really sell this thing. It's like, oh yeah, he really, really worked on that one. No one's commenting. Are we on the air?
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody okay?
Well,
we should hold a big mirror
up. Taking that in. I mean, it's a lot to take in.
Let's hold a big mirror up to their nose and make sure they're breathing.
Yeah, they're there. They're
okay.
Just, there's a lot to take in.
All right,
there, man.
I think they bailed on us. So now, another. So, I think right now, I tell you what. If everybody just look at your local paper,
wow,
and go find where there's a live band playing somewhere in your neighborhood.
Wait,
just anywhere where you live. Just so tonight. Just go. Just
you have to work a little bit on that, but yeah.
Dollars to Donuts, whether they have a female singer or not, or maybe a female singer will just kind of come out of the audience and just go up. You're gonna hear "Dreams" by Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna give the floor to you.
It's popular.
It is inescapable right now. I'm telling you, it's inescapable. So tell us what's significant, but what's the lookout for on this song?
Well,
because I'm sure you've done.
If you're going to solo over this song, like first of all, his solo is really interesting over this song.
Really interesting.
So they're basically acting as though this is 4, 5, 1, but you never go to 1.
No, in fact, I when I teach private lessons, especially about modes or tone centers, I argue that this song is. Study the melody. What does Stevie sing? And it's actually, I think I would make the case it's actually in A minor.
A minor or C major, same. Yeah.
No.
No, that's what I meant. No.
I actually think A minor feels like that's really. Seems the note to which her vocals keeps resolving to at the lowest. I make the case it's A minor, but you're right. It's really kind of a modal song because it doesn't. We never hear a proper 5 chord. Stevie's. You can always say when Stevie's written a song, not just because she's singing lead, but there's no bridge. It's generally the same chord change is going to serve the verse and the chorus.
It's like most songs these days, actually.
Yeah.
Like most popular songs on the radio.
They're not. You're right. That's a good point.
When I learned her song, and the lyrics were awesome. The singing it's called The Best Part, by the way, if you want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't do anything differently ever the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And even this song, there's enough of an arrangement in this song if you really know how to play this song, because there's some hits the bands do.
Oh my God, the rhythm section is so good.
Yeah, it's like
he almost flips the beat a little. They're just and what Lindsay does. Oh, by the way, those vocal harmonies.
Yeah, so
you don't just go up and assume you're going to just do your basic country, like third above. And When you listen to what Lindsay's singing, his part, I mean, they're working around quite a bit where they fall, and it's why it's got this very mercurial.
They do some voice crossing,
unfixed feel. But this is one that really worth studying. Also, get a volume pedal. A lot of fun.
Yeah, because
and Lindsay's just working overtime to make. No offense,
interest
Stevie,
in the
but
song.
Yeah, the kind of like she's coming in. Okay, well, what's the chorus? Okay, screw.
Okay. We'll sit twice as long on these chords over that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you get to the solo, it finally goes to A minor.
They play it once. You're right. A lot of F major 7, by the way.
Well, and that's actually, so if you were going to analyze this song without superimposing another mode over it, it's in F Lydian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is. Yeah.
In fact, I think they end it there live.
They do. And F Lydian is the key that naturally has a sharp 4 in it, right? So
that would be your B natural.
That's your B natural.
Which is your G major.
And that's what happens when they.
That's right.
On the last chord.
Couldn't be more obvious.
But I don't think I don't know that was intentional because it's not. These are not the family of chords of F Lydian. So I do think they're treating it as though it's in C major, A minor. But I do think.
Lindsay is finding really interesting voicings. They're just finding.
Lindsay
notes
was also trained. Lindsay knew.
Yes, he was.
He's
from your neck of the woods, no?
Yeah, he is from the.
Let's just do this now. Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh yeah, it's sort of compulsory, isn't it? This might be okay. I don't know about now because I don't play as many cover band gigs. Which, by the way, can we just before we do Sweet Home Alabama? So I have a student at. I'm not going to out this person, and I've had many. It was like. Well, I don't want to end up in a cover band. Oh. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, what's so terrible about ending up in a cover band? And the truth of the matter is, a lot of the money that's made actually is in cover and tribute bands, believe it or not.
God, yes.
And when you're seeing all these musicians that are like sidemanning around the world, many of these people would make way more money in a really high-end cover band. And when I say way more, I mean sometimes double. So and that's not always the case, but it can be the case. So cover bands might not be the most glitzy gig on the planet, or maybe they're not the most self-validating on a wider scale.
Maybe
it's a pretty great life, actually.
But that's only if we're grading on a scale of, originality, which is important. Don't get me wrong, but what is it that we're really trying to do when we pick up instruments? Let's face it.
Sure.
I mean, yes, some of us want to be very original and all that, but
which usually it's not popular music at that point.
Yeah. So playing tunes that people like to. I'm sorry, no, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah,
I got humbuckers, man.
He can't handle that kind of power.
It's true. Playing songs that people like to hear. It's kind of the point, though, isn't it?
Well, entertaining people as an entertainer.
Yeah. Now.
That's what they're missing. This is a show business thing. Like playing music for money means you're in show business. And even if you are original, at some point, you're in show business.
That's
because
true.
You're going out and you're selling what you're originally written to people. And I guarantee you, Aerosmith did not want to play Dream On anymore at some point. And Leonard Skinner did not. Like there comes a point where you're in show business, you're repeating things. And now the people that didn't do that would be people like Miles Davis. People who said, I never want to play the same thing twice, ever.
Yeah.
And then tried to stick to that until even the 80s.
By the way,
when they had to do
the market only has so much room for a Miles Davis.
Right.
A Bob Dylan.
Right.
So
pretty small. Yeah.
And these folks, I think they take that deal.
And they run with
like
it.
I'm doing if time
maybe Jacob
and
Collier or somebody like that is the new version of that or something. I don't know.
Dazed and Confused in the 70s, so much great music.
Yeah, I think that's a great movie to base a lot of this off of.
Yeah. Also, one of my favorite cover bands is Steely Jazz, and that's funny because that is some of those guys had played on some of the records.
You mean Steely Dan? Steely Dan.
Well, no, it's a Steely Dan tribute.
I get it. Now.
So, you know what? I'm surprised I don't hear more bands do Reeling in the Years.
We used to do Ricky, Don't Lose That Number all the time. If it was kind of slow, we'd play.
Where's that intro from? Wayne Shorter.
Song for My Father. I don't know how to play in the key.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's take that Wayne Shorter song and then put it up again, and it's very clear. It's not.
I think it's
even
Wayne
disguised.
Shorter though. I think it's Horace Silver.
Horace Silver. I'm sorry. You're right.
That's okay.
I showed it.
The Shorter threw me off. I was like,
Yeah,
bitches brew.
Yeah. But Ricky Don't Lose That Number. Dwight tells a story on stage, by the way. I love this story because tying back to being original or having hits. Dwight, we'll be doing like a new song, like the one we just did with Post Malone. We'll do it in the set, and Dwight will say, "Okay, we're gonna do something new." And he goes, "I know." He goes, "Like I know how you're reacting right now. I felt that way too." And he says he remembers. He grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and for a brief moment he went to Ohio State, and Steely Dan came and played. And he goes, I went, real in the years, that first album stuff. And at one point they said, we're gonna do something new. Because I'm in the back thinking, I don't want to hear something new. Because I'm probably back there yelling Freebird, just heckling. And they play Ricky Don't Lose That Number. And afterwards Dwight's like, God, that was really, really good.
Oh man.
And Dwight plays, you have to play new songs in order for them to be the old songs at some point.
Right. And if you favor the familiar too often, you can almost start to pick why your life seems stale and boring. So if you're like, no, I have to have this exact sandwich, well, you got to start picking something to vary up a little bit, or you're going to be like, okay, so this is what it's like to die inside.
Smoke on the Water. Go ahead. That's Skunk, right? It's Baxter.
Anyways,
he's going to be at the Desert 5 spot tomorrow night.
Baxter.
They're having the Thursday night. They're having this pedal steel blowout thing, and he's going to be there playing pedal steel.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he plays pedal steel?
So is Robert Randolph. Yeah, he plays steel.
Really?
Yeah, it's you should go. I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be somewhere.
That's
in Missouri.
tomorrow night, huh?
It's tomorrow night.
Thursday night. Oh.
That's right. I was like, holy E9, Batman.
That would actually be worth going there.
Oh my God, it's going to be incredible. Let's see. Another. There's still some Creedence tunes that cross over to 70, 71. So I don't know if how about
I don't hear cover bands play Smoke on the Water that often.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it's a little bit too
I do hear Roadhouse Blues.
I hear Roadhouse Blues a lot, actually.
You're right. Highway to Hell was on there. Here's one that I do. And I'm surprised more bands don't do it because when I play clubs here in LA, people immediately start clapping. They immediately know the song. I'm thinking, why isn't this one? And now I do it in the key of E, but if you recognize the
Best Friend's Girl.
And people just like the hand claps just start, right? Why don't more people do this song? Now here's the trick about that song. When you listen to the record, you're gonna hear.
Is it sped up? Yeah, it's on tape.
Because as a kid, I couldn't figure like and then the solo.
Probably one of his best solos.
I was just, but it was a.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe he's capoed.
Yeah.
So in the 90s, when I moved out here, I was playing in a rockabilly band, and we would play in Orange County a lot. And Elliot, the guitar player from the Cars, had a really cool surf band, instrumental surf band. And he would play a lot of the same places as we would. And I never really truly met Elliot. I've never really spent any time with him. But the one chance, love the Cars, right? The Cars. So the idea was I just ran up to him, and he had seen I've just been playing rockabilly for an hour, right?
Yeah.
So he was kind of like, yeah. And I, with a nod, like, clearly I have a question here, sir. Good sir. I was like, a best friend's girl, and I didn't have a guitar, man. Best friend's girl, and I just made a shape, and he goes, I do it in E. I do it in E. He knew the question was coming. He goes, do it in A. Producer thought it was too slow,
and they sped the whole
We just sped the tape up, so he doesn't perform it in F. We hear it in F. So if you want to play along with the record, capo. I wouldn't bother,
cope with
just
that
capo.
sucker.
But yeah, that's a great. Well, I'm going back to my. That's a great one.
A lot of people don't play the solo right either in the cover bands.
That's it. Oh.
What are you going to do tonight when you play that? You going to play that tonight?
Yeah.
It might be worth driving down here just to see that.
Great song. So, but another one is.
Is this one as big as that one? With cover bands?
We should ask them. I don't know. I just don't hear bands cover the Cars a whole lot. That's just, it's like, those songs are instantly recognizable.
Oh, we used to do it all the time.
Yeah, you did? Okay. I think that's his best solo.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because there are key changes in this the whole way through.
Well, there's a three dominant.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then by the way, that's a great lesson in why it's so melodic.
Yeah.
When he pretty much lands on the major third of all the chords. So
he's spelling changes, yeah.
He's beautifully
playing changes.
And then there's that. That's a great country. Oh.
But he's more coming from the angle of rockabilly
very much
with
so.
His background, but there's so much crossover that,
He also, I saw this in an interview. He didn't tell me this directly, but
English accent.
No, he's British. I thought it would be fun if he did. With all those guitar solos, he would I think very quickly when one of the songwriters, either Ben or Rick, pretty much I guess, we're presenting a song to the band. He was just, where are the chord changes? Where are the chord changes? Where are the chord changes? And where's the solo go? And he would go off and just work out his solos, and he would play them over and
you can tell. You can tell.
But when it came time to recording it, he's just not thinking anymore.
Right.
So that's why it sounds really loose. And some of it kind of sounds off the cuff.
Right.
It's like Daniel Day-Lewis, who's just been preparing for months.
Right. Yeah.
And in one take, it just comes out of him because it's been in there for so long.
And you know,
it's worth a shot.
I think that's okay with rock music and with popular music, because it's a look. You have 2 to 3 minutes to get something across. It's not the look over at the tenor saxophone player and they get 8 bars or they get 2.5 hours. So I think it made for some of the best solos. What do we got here? It says Dean. Can you read that? Music.
What? No, I don't know where you're starting. No one said anything about Dean.
Oh, yeah. I hear what you're saying, Dean.
Oh, great backstory.
No, I'm on the last comment there.
The Cars music may simply require more effort and commitment than the average cover band is willing to invest. Favoring easier or more crowd-pleasing options instead. Wow.
These are,
Dean, I need you to represent me.
Yeah, and you know what? So most of the bands I was in, everybody played and sang, and so this is a hard one to...
Oh, yeah. What a great lead singer we had with Benjamin Orr.
Yeah.
Looked great. Just the perfect rock singer. I think their producer said that. It's like, it was just, when that guy stepped up to the mic, man, I just knew we were going to have a good day.
Not the perfect.
Yeah, well, you can tell when he'll impersonate Rick Ocasek.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Ribbons in your hair.
Your hair. Yeah, the harmony. Your hair. Yeah. And then the double. I don't mind you. It's unison double track.
Here.
That's great.
Wasting on my time.
Yeah.
We didn't do Sweet Home Alabama, but I that is probably maybe one of the most played cover band songs from the 70s as far as rock cover bands and Southern rock
Here's
goes.
the question we have to ask all bands that are covering Sweet Home Alabama. It's worth working this because, so it's like the guitar player without announcing it's just gonna, and the place goes crazy and the whole band's like, got it. And then we're in. But the problem with doing that is something should be settled before you go in, or at least during the song. Somehow you got to agree on something. And what's that?
Jeez, I don't know. Did the South
what is going to be
will not rise?
What is going to be our last chord?
Oh. Yeah, so if you're going to go at the very end, if you're going yeah. It has to be D.
Okay, fine.
Some people go.
Oh, really? On C?
I don't know.
So we could make a case of. That one doesn't work.
That is jarring.
It's really upsetting.
Jarring.
So by the way, but Skinner would end on G.
Oh,
because they didn't do the.
Oh, they didn't do all that. So they just went. Okay, now that way it's okay.
But
that way it's
still
okay.
Now that I think again with what key, this is the age-old question. There's a lot of literature on this. I'm sure, maybe not literature, but there's a lot of online. What key is this song in? What is this in
this
D?
Song
or
is
it
in D.
It's in D.
It's in D.
Defined by, again, going back to the Dreams example. Look at Ronnie's vocal melody. It's D major pentatonic.
Yeah.
And so if the chords don't really tell you the story, there's not an obviously 1, 4, 5. And then take a look at the melody. And the melody has to be king at this point. And then because the chords are just there to support the melody anyway.
Well, and also, I mean, the soloing. D.
So now we're like in a D blues-ish, D Mixolydian. Oh, it's so swinging.
Yeah.
It is so sweet. You were saying something before we were live that those guys, Steve in particular.
Yeah.
But there's elements of Western swing.
Oh, big time.
In these solos.
Yeah,
Can you talk to us a little bit about that while we're here?
Well, so
because I think this is fascinating. This is great. These are one of the things that we don't really connect. There you go, Dean Miles. Look at Dean Miles.
What is it?
I like Dean Miles is D major.
Yeah, D major.
Simply like
resolutely
that.
in D.
God.
So just the chromaticism that's in his soloing is what I would really say. That
do a slow example of the chromaticism.
So this is the triad spelling. That right there. And that's 1, 2, 3. If you think about it, so that's
scale
really
tones.
I'm sorry, 1 flat 2 2.
That's so sweet.
And
That's
all of
so
that just
good.
spells like a Django Reinhardt solo or something like that. It's just very Western swingy. And you can hear that especially on songs like I Know Little. The second solo in the song, there's just a ton of like Western swing style approaches in his playing. That's really it's quite phenomenal. I mean, he was
and also
excellent.
what really works here. It's a great example of him staying mostly major, but then he picks his spots when he plays a flat 7.
Yeah,
when we might hear a flat 3, speaking in the key of G for the most part.
Also a tone guy too,
and the great strat tone.
And so here's somebody that if he had survived, would have gone on to have an excellent solo career after they all got out of rehab and whatever happened. Do you know what I mean? Like after the third ex-wife or whatever.
No, Dean, I'm not saying it is Western swing.
No, not Western swing.
We said elements
of Western swing in the
yes,
solo.
Actually, it lives downstream from it. That's beautifully put.
Dean, this is great.
Dean, I'm going to have you write our scripts.
These are,
as if we have scripts. Drawing from the same musical river of Americana where country, blues, and swing have all mingled.
Indubitably.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis.
I concur.
Concordantly.
Yes, exactly. So now Zeppelin. I hear rock and roll quite a bit.
Yeah, I hear rock and roll. I mean, listen, here's the thing about those songs.
You just have to have a singer that can pull it off.
You also have to, like, if you want people to dance, there's some people that might dance to rock and roll, but not a ton. I mean,
you'd have
to know like a lot of different. So this is more of a dude fest type of song.
That's true.
And so if you have a bunch of people standing around at the club, you're gonna have to play some dude songs.
No, okay, so let's get them on the dance floor. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, I think you can definitely get away with
I knew.
But like.
But those aren't 12 bars. This is kind of going back to what Dean said about the cars in a way. But like when Earth, Wind, and Fire's like, okay, we need to rehearse.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, trust me, you're not gonna just screw around. I would say this is probably one of the biggest.
Oh yeah, I use Brickhouse in our
Ladies' Night.
Oh, that's Ladies' Night.
Brickhouse.
So good. So good. That's
really,
so
really good, by the way.
I mean, yeah, you're right. To get people on the dance floor, then we go to that world. I would assume. I don't know. I kind of I hate to
middle set usually, like second set.
Mama don't dance, Daddy don't rock and roll.
Yeah, we used to do that all the time.
Did you?
Actually, yeah, we used to do that. We talked about
that's got some weird.
That's on
Taking
key.
care of business.
It's actually.
This is because it's that really hard for the
What key is that? But this one actually people will totally dance to this song. But still, I think the funk stuff is usually, if you're in a cover band, you're probably trying to get people to like you the first set. I know, that's crazy. The second set, you're hoping that they've been drinking and are ready to party, and so you're starting to put the dance numbers in there.
First set for a 70s cover band. Here's us again. Nice and easy. Let's be gentlemen.
Don't hurt
this.
them. Don't hurt them.
Peaceful, easy feeling.
Oh, that could definitely work. This could definitely work. And
it starts off nice.
You're going to win
easy.
people over. You could do a little.
Everyone recognizes.
Any of the Seeger stuff will work. First set. Mama Don't Dance, Daddy Don't Rock Roll is definitely one of my favorite songs.
That's a bit of an arrangement, though, right? Those stops and then what they do in that bridge
over Mama Don't Dance, Daddy Don't. It's just a 4-chord, but like then they go back to
I thought it was something a little trickier than that. Yeah.
Well, the bass does a line during the bridge.
Is that what?
Yeah. The bass is doing lines the whole time.
The bass player probably was.
You could get away with any of that. I saw Doobie Brothers on a list we were looking at. I think definitely this.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the biggest ones that cover bands play, which is called
Long Train Running.
Long Train Running.
This is also kind of good for the dance floor.
Yeah. It's just 4 on the floor, right?
Yeah, Brickhouse, Staying Alive.
Staying Alive, if you're a cover band and you can pull off Staying Alive,
so John
vocally, that's amazing.
John Wavy saying you can't always get what you want. I love that cover bands do that one, though, because you don't have a boys choir, French horn.
Well, the other big thing is, does your band have keys? So if your band has keys, you have a ton of options that bands that don't have keys have. But
now the Elton John and the Stevie Wonder
all
stuff.
that stuff can come into play, and you could really get a lot of real, like, regular people in. They don't have to drink.
Jim Casey, why don't I love your question, Jim. Why don't you hear more cover bands playing anything by Blondie or the Ramones?
You know, we played stuff by them. I'm not sure. First of all, that's 80s. Blondie.
No, both bands start in the 70s. Blondie.
Well, it depends on which song we're talking about.
Depends on which song.
The Ramones definitely 70s.
Yeah.
So the Ramones is a little bit more like that dudes thing. Here's the thing. If I think Ramones, I think kids or definitely young people who are willing to break something and are way about a collective like band. 248 pounds. That's the entire band on a scale.
Okay, that's a great point. If I were to put a Ramones cover on there, honestly, I would do Rock and Roll Radio.
That would work. That would work. Yeah, that would work.
At least it's got a bit of like it's got more of a melody, and it has a "We Are Family."
Yeah.
By the way, notice how I pronounced it? I didn't say "We Are Family." Like
there's so many though.
I have to say "We Are Family."
There's
like in the song.
What am I thinking?
Yeah, Rockaway Beats.
That's it's a lie.
I'm coming out.
Believe it or not, you play that and people are gonna go crazy.
Yeah, they'll come out.
It's killing.
Yeah. It's great. That's a great one. Yeah, Blondie. I wish more people would do. I would just love to hear. Yeah, if I had like a band and I had a female singer, like we'd have to do Dreaming. Is one of my favorite.
Oh,
and I think Heart of Glass. Actually, I have heard bands do Heart of Glass.
Well, so now Heart of Glass without keys. Heart of Glass
What
just
key
goes
is that?
on and on and on. So it's a
E. Great exercise in popcorn.
now
picking,
there's
by the way.
there's a couple bar there's a bar of 5/4 in
That's
the song.
great.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
to the 4. To the 4 chord.
We're already to the next bar. But so there's a bar. There's like a jump in there. You hear they add a beat basically. The Blondie song that we did was
One way or another.
am I wrong here?
No, that's the right. This is great because it's so chromatic. It goes down to 6, but it stays.
Any song goes, I know you. Like any point in the song, people are gonna go nuts because it sounds like you want a game show. You know what I mean?
Rambling Man.
So Rambling Man, this is actually I've played in bands that played this song that were cover bands. If you're in the Central Valley, you can totally do this.
Okay.
In the city, this is yet to hit the city
Wow.
in the same way. Like there's not the same appreciation for
Okay.
like Mississippi Queen. They're
Oh.
just not hip to it. Now's the time though. People are loving anything Southern rock and country. in
So
the city.
Jim, now we are talking 80s because the Auto American album came out in the 80s, but
Yeah.
Jim brought a copy of it home from the record store, and your dad almost confiscated it?
Well, there was
it
sexual
controversial?
imagery on there, and
I mean, she's sexy, but all right, okay. I don't know.
and well, she's foreign.
No, she's not. She's from Jersey.
She
Look,
looks foreign.
She's from Jersey.
Yeah, but you know what? You could American it up more. Well, it's funny that you mentioned the 80s because next week
are we moving on though?
we're moving to
Okay,
the
we're
80s.
gonna move on to the
Now
80s.
we're going to come back and do some genres at some point.
Yeah,
but
I
this
think
ship
that's
has
the-
to just keep sailing because
you're right.
there's too much attention on the
Go
80s at
on
this
and on
point.
and on.
It just seems
You know,
so obvious.
I'm gonna leave here tonight and go like, oh, we forgot to mention. I'm gonna do this terrible like,
Oh, God,
I
you
forgot
kidding?
to. I Want You to Want Me by Cheap Trick. That's a crowd.
1,
pleaser.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
So what great chord that you love me. Chromatic. Oh, it's so great. And the solo on the studio version, the first solo, because he doesn't rock it out too much. It's a really lovely pop, almost country. Especially when the chords are right.
Yeah,
but there's
sorry
like
about
there's
that.
we were talking the 6.
Is it through the progression during that? No, it's just A.
That's not right. 4.
Yeah, see, I'm always playing
Oh,
that, so I don't know.
You're right. I would probably screw that up too.
So-
I'm always. You're right. I would just like. Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Bringing your hair and your keytars next week, y'all, because we're gonna do a
Fitting the 80s
flock
it
of
out
goo-goo.
now is what's about to happen.
Man, we're gonna. Yeah, exactly. And we will talk about. It's funny because like David Bowie was such. Obviously, he really. Well, he's officially starts in the late 60s, but nothing really catches wind until the 70s.
Right.
And he does amazing work in the 70s, but he's a kind of an outsider artist all throughout the 70s.
Well, he's more on that original side of things we were talking about.
In the 80s, especially with the Let's Dance album.
Now we start getting...
I'm going to start cashing checks, people.
And then it gets really froggy with the Rolling Stones or the Mick Jagger. What's the Dance in the Streets? But that's when we're like, hey, I think that's a definite, and I do think, you hear bands play this. I do think, we didn't mention Hotel California. We didn't mention a whole lot of songs because what we talked about at the beginning of this was the 70s may have been the best decade for just flat out rock music. Now, I don't mean hair metal or anything like that, but just unadulterated rock music. The 70s might have been the top.
Lots of different keys, modes, melodies, and just textures and different instruments, and a lot of original, just a lot of exciting
really
work.
Significant.
Oddly, and Springsteen starts in the 70s, but it's really hard covering his songs are not easy to cover.
Yeah, well, they have a halftime groove in most of them, most of the biggest hits, and so they don't dance the same way. That,
they don't dance well at all.
They don't
Born
dance
to Run,
that well.
such a but what are you doing on the dance floor with Born to Run?
This is more. It's more of this type.
You're
of
supposed
thing.
to just run out in your car and go start a new life. But you're not going to dance.
You don't really, more cowbell.
I actually think that's a clave, not a cowbell. By the way, on Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh,
it might be a cowbell.
I think it's cowbell, just the side of the stick, though.
I saw an interview with Shelley Yakis, who was the engineer on that. Same guy who engineered those classic Tom Petty records. He did a lot of stuff. But they asked him about the cowbell thing. He says, that became a joke. He says,
I don't even remember.
He says, when we mixed it, we had the drummer did a line of hand percussion. We didn't mix it particularly loud. It's there. He says his theory is that the cowbell. Okay, when things are broadcast on radio, especially in stereo stations, it runs through several layers of compression.
Yeah.
This is after the record's been handed in. Radio stations have
and he didn't
layers of
master
compression.
it, right? He just mixed it.
So when we hear it on certain things just kind of, when it gets overly compressed, certain elements of a record stick out.
Yeah.
And his theory is go back and listen to your original vinyl of it.
Yeah.
And it probably isn't sticking out quite as much.
Well,
as
the
it does when you
lacquer
hear it
is
on
going to be the
FM.
difference, though. So I think whoever mastered that song probably now I think you will notice one thing that's in common here. That song is really loud, actually, for its era.
It's a hot mix.
And it's a full sounding mix. So somebody mastered that with a ton of limiting or compression on it. And I think that's the type of thing you're going to bring out, with
Then it goes to G7? How does he?
You talking about the Waylon Jennings song?
No, what? No, no, I was still doing Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh, okay.
When it goes to the F minor.
Yeah, I think
Lukenbach, Texas.
I think that 70s might be one of the best periods for music in general. I mean, you have Paul Simon, you have
Paul.
Two
things in life will make it worth living.
Yeah, you just have this so many iconic artists coming out of the United States. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just the British invasion and the United States. I think the United States really stepped forward.
And nowadays, I think we're trying to wrap this up, but nowadays, okay, and then if you're in a cover band now, here's another dynamic, another market force here, the biopics. So then the Queen movie comes out, and now there's generations of people that are really excited and familiar with Queen songs. So now it's geez, now we got to do Queen songs.
Yeah.
And the big ones. And again, if you don't have a singer, that's right. See, John, Boston, too vocally difficult for cover bands.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot of Boston.
It's just a tough one to do.
I mean, you didn't used to hear Journey until they were really popular.
Jesse's Girl is 80s. We'll talk about that one next week.
Jesse's Girl's coming up.
But yeah, me and Julio down there. Oh, a lot of great guitar work.
Yeah,
we're on and on. Listen, we're gonna get out of here because My Old School. Woo, that's a great one.
The Steely Dan song.
Yeah. Take Me Home, Country Roads. That's a crowd pleaser.
Actually,
that one gets
stuff like
singing.
that at the end of the night when you need people to go home, if it hasn't been a crazy busy night and you're not blowing them out with Pour Some Sugar on Me or something that. Stuff like that.
What, like Take Me Home?
Yeah.
Good point.
You play stuff like that. It's like the equivalent of Closing Time by Semisonics now.
What a great song. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of we're gonna slowly dial the room down.
We're all gonna do this, and not fight each other.
We're not gonna turn the dump over and go home with a waitress. We're just gonna calmly.
We're gonna sing together, be minded of your parents, stuff like that. So I mean, it was cold as ice. You need a keyboard player for that.
Minor, yeah. And what's his Mick Jones from Foreigner? He would write on guitar, but he would write in keyboard keys.
I'm sorry. I just think of chopping broccoli when you mention that the Dana Carvey thing. So that's all I heard the whole time.
Well, Dean Miles, thank you for joining us. You were a delight
Thanks,
in the
Dean.
chat.
Yeah.
Thank you for stumbling upon us. Honestly, we get stumbled upon all the time.
Yeah.
as
No,
people.
it's
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Jackson Brown.
Man,
Running on empty.
I'm running on empty. It's also all the songs he wrote for other people too. Of that era.
There's Take It Easy. We don't. I wish more bands would do Doctor My Eyes. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But there's one. I think the song that I have heard bands do, and my band will do every now and then, is one of his from the '80s. So we'll talk about that. But Billy Squire, also '80s. You guys are ahead of us by a week.
We're getting there though.
We'll see you next week, y'all.
See you guys.
See you then.
Have a good one.
Do some stuff. Do some stuff so I can get. Ended on G.
Did you end on G? Oh, you did, didn't you? You know, G works, dude.
It can.
Yeah. It's just you can't have that